Hi everybody, today I'm sitting down with Shelley Butler. She was actually one of the speakers at Hashtag We Are One event this year, and her story is so inspiring and beautiful, and I can't wait for you guys to hear a little bit more about her because I can totally connect with Shelley and her past and what happened to her. So hopefully after this, you guys can have a more understanding of who she is as a leader in your community. Hi, beautiful. How's it going?
So good. I'm just so honored to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for taking the time and sitting down with me.
Absolutely.
As soon as you said yes, I was like, yes! I was like, this is exciting.
For sure. Yeah.
So you were a guest at the Hashtag We Are One event.
Yeah, Hashtag We Are One. What a beautiful event.
Yeah, it was so nice to really connect with one another. So I feel like that event made me connect with you even more because you have that personality, like you're really bubbly and energetic, and I'm like, oh my god, I want a little bit of that. And you know what I mean? What is it? Coffee? I'm gonna start drinking coffee. I don't know, right? What is she eating? But it was like that. As soon as you start sharing your story, and I was like, kind of having this like flashbacks and that feeling coming in, and I was trying to hold my tears, and it did not work, obviously. But it was like a moment when you were sharing about what happened to you. Can you share a little bit yourself, and then we can go from there?
Sure. So, I grew up in a really modest family. And I have an older sister, and she married a gentleman, and that gentleman started to sexually abuse me. And he abused me from the ages of 8 to 14. Lots of shame, lots of embarrassment. It wasn't until I got a call from the OPP, it was the Ontario Provincial Police. I was 24 years old, I was married, I owned my own house, and they asked me if I had been abused by this man. And I thought, I was really going to take that to my grave.
Yeah.
That certainly wasn't going to be anything I told anybody. And the next words out of this woman's mouth, Ontario Provincial Police, was, your nieces are being abused as well. So at that point, auntie rescue mode. I mean, they were young children, but I believed it.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to have to disclose exactly what had happened to me. And that's what I did. The guilt, though, was overwhelming. Because, of course, if I had told, would I have saved my nieces if I had have told? My sister will often remind me that if I had have told, would my nieces even have been there? Would she have had her children?
Yeah.
And, it's at a cost.
Yeah.
But everything that we do is expensive.
Yeah.
It really is. So while it was a whole lot of trials and tribulations, I knew that it was the right thing to do. We went to preliminary hearings. The court found that there was enough evidence that he would go to court. Now, he was the president of the Business Association for Ontario. Wow. He had a name out there. So it was years later before we actually went from preliminary hearings to trial. But at that point, I knew that my nieces were no longer, being abused, right? So there was now at least some separation there. Walking into that courtroom, Diani, though, for the first time, and it's just like a courtroom that you see on TV, right? I mean, it's just like that. And of course, I wasn't expecting that. And it was overwhelming. But walking into that courtroom, on one side, there was all kinds of media. And on the other side, there were a whole bunch of women that were abused by him.
Wow.
At that moment, I found out that he had already been on probation, and he had already been caught abusing other people.
Wow.
So yeah, it was so much. Like, it was a whole lot for me. In all of that, though, I was able to walk tall. I was able to tell my truth.
Yeah.
Now, when you're on trial, because I was on trial as the victim, you are definitely on trial.
Yes.
So it was all about what clothes I wore at 9 and how I instigated all of this. Now, I'm going to tell you, the Crown Prosecutor kept saying to me, you did not consent. You were under the age of 14. So there's a law here in Canada that if you're under the age of 14, you know, whether you kicked or screamed, you did not consent.
Yeah.
I had a very difficult time getting that through to myself. I didn't kick.
Yeah.
I didn't scream.
Yeah.
I didn't tell. The overwhelming shame, the overwhelming embarrassment,
Yeah.
you know, comes back to you in a flash. Now, this has been years later. I've talked about this many times, and you can see the emotion that I still have.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not about me walking around strong, loud, and proud now, but I am no longer a victim.
Yeah.
I am no longer a victim of that man.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
so
yeah.
the emotion is not because I am a victim. It's not because I'm looking for pity.
Yeah.
It truly is about a celebration. I become victorious. Here I am talking to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, all of the people that are out there that have been sexually abused, and I'm going to tell you, it's 1 in 4 little girls and 1 in 6 little boys. Sometimes the sky looks so dark and the sun just doesn't shine very bright. But I'm going to tell you that it does. It absolutely does. You embrace who you are. You understand that a lot of us have to deal with stuff in our lives, and some are dealt maybe a worse hand than others.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you're ever dealt anything more than you can't deal with. I believe that I was dealt this hand so I could be who I am today.
Yeah.
I am a leader in our community. I stand loud and proud. I discuss my abuse with others.
Yeah.
I am that sounding board, but it doesn't remain dark forever.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't remain dark forever, but it's up to us. It's up to us to make sure that we don't live in that. I always call it victimhood, and I'll make a little joke and say it's a really bad neighborhood and don't stay there too long, right? Because victimhood can become one of those things that you hang your hat on. And I'm gonna tell you, I hung my hat on it a lot.
Yeah.
I was able to throw that out there a lot. And what I realized when I started using my abuse to make my excuses,
Okay.
right? Then I was in hiding. It's not about suffering,
Yeah.
right? You've already suffered. You've already suffered enough. And it's up to us. We have to make those decisions to not suffer anymore.
Yeah. That's true.
So yeah, the very first time I was asked to speak, I knew that it had to be part of my story.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm now the CEO for Dovico Software.
Yeah.
So I consider that an accomplishment.
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely
mean?
is, yeah.
If I had stayed in my victimness, my victimhood, if I had stayed in my pity party, if I had hung my hat and said, this is who I am, this is what happened to me, so this is who I am,
Yeah.
I would have never been the CEO of Dovico Software.
Yeah.
What I know now is growth, awareness about our growth, comforting our own self, right? Not looking for things out there to comfort us, although day drinking is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's important that we learn how to comfort ourselves. It's important that we learn that taking up the energy in what was, because you see, I have nothing, I have no way to change the past.
Yeah.
I have no way to change the past, and it's all done. The past is done, right?
That's true.
Now, if I focus on the past, and I decide that because of my past, that is going to negate my future, right? And then I start thinking about my future, which doesn't even exist,
Yeah.
I forget to be here. I forget to be present. I forget to be right now. I forget to celebrate who I am right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm always looking to be something else.
Yeah.
Or I'm looking to make the excuse of why I am who I am.
That's so true. That's very true. And I think there's like a lot that you just shared that I'm trying to like kind of like a little sponge in my brain right now of like everything that you said. But I kind of, like I said, like I connect with you and a lot of things that you share at the event, because it's kind of like I would not see that. Like if you wouldn't have shared that with us, like I obviously like you have like you look at somebody and you already have like a perception of like who they are.
Yeah.
It's like I see you and I'm like strong, bubbly, energetic, you know, all those things. And then when you shared, it was like so deeper. The connection that I have now with you is incredible, because I was like going back, like I was sharing earlier, my flashback was more, I was sexually abused as a young child. And then coming here to Canada, I was physically, emotionally, and mentally abused by my parents, like my mother and her husband. Went to foster care, started a relationship at 15 with, he was just a year older than me, but he was sexually abusing me and I didn't even know. Because in my head, even if I said no, and he would say, well, you're my girlfriend, then I would just give in. So I never thought of sexual abuse happening at the, like nothing was happening bad at that time, right? In my head. And I remember I was like 17 and I had my first miscarriage. I was really young with that person. And a few days later, he sexually abused me again. And I was still like healing from that. And it was like, I had to wake up, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just sexually abusing me anymore. It was physically and mentally and just draining myself. And I remember every time I tried to get out of the relationship, he always say in French, toi puis quelle armée qui va m'arrêter? You and what army is gonna stop me, right?
Yeah,
so it was like something that I was like, and then in my head, it was always back into, he's right. Like I don't have any family. I don't have any friends. And every time it kind of broke my heart, because I was like, his friends are pretty much the only friends that I have. So who's gonna believe me? So always like, I stayed for a little bit there until I got like that strength to get out, because I couldn't stop thinking of, this is not what life and love is supposed to be, right? Like for you, after all those years, was it hard for you to go from trying to figure out what is love, what is family, what is friendship, that you can talk to somebody?
Well, first of all, I want to say I am so sorry that that happened to you. I hear you and I see you, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. But that is not who you are.
No.
That is not who you are. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It happened. It happened. We are better. We are better together as we share and we're vulnerable and we create the social connection. We tell our truth to each other. Like you say, now we are socially connected.
Yeah.
Right? We'll never not be close.
Yeah.
Right? We have created such a connection and such a bond, and that is absolutely beautiful. So you asked me, do I know what love looks like? Did I have to struggle to know what love looks like? No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I went deeper into love. My hashtag is love wins. Everywhere you go, you will see me and love wins. Because I absolutely know what love is. Love is purity. Love is clarity. Love is knowing that you are okay. Love is taking a moment and looking in somebody's eyes and just simply being there with them.
It kind of like the same thing, right? After a while, you know what love is, and there's like no denying what it is. And even like when I see you, when I connect with people, when I meet strangers and I'm like, oh my God, I love you. And they're like, I'm like, no, like I feel it. Like I want to hug you, because I'm like, you feel that connection, you feel that energy that connects people together. And I feel like when you were sharing, it was like, I saw like totally a different woman. And I was just like, I was like amazed. And it was like, for me, it was a moment of like realizing, and I know we shared before, of like not judging somebody without knowing their story.
That's right.
And the moment that you shared your story, I was just looking around my table and I was like, oh my God. And everybody sharing, I was like, oh my God, I love them more now, like it's like, now I take you guys like not even just friends, like sisters. And I love checking with you guys, and when you guys message me, I love seeing your names pop up because you have a different type of connection. I feel like it's so important for a woman to just open up a little bit more and be vulnerable. Everybody, actually, not just women, but I feel like when you have that that thing inside of you that wants to get out, just let it out and connect with somebody. The right people are gonna stay, right?
That's right.
And I feel like you are bringing the community together in a way that you don't even know yet. Like you inspire me like all the time. Like I'm like, oh my God, she's like so incredible. And every time you do something and you speak, I'm so like excited to see what's gonna happen and what you're gonna bring to our community. And I feel like, again, your story, it wasn't, like I always say, like everything that happened to you that was painful, turn it around and make something beautiful with it. And I feel like that's what you did without even knowing, right? You're like turning everything around and helping others and bringing so much like beautiful energy to other people and trying to go deeper to people.
Yeah. Well, if you're ready to open up, you're ready to open up and you're ready to share, then yeah, it can happen for you.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I wasn't ready to share and I wasn't ready to open up. I thought if people saw that I was broken, right, that would, they would turn their backs on me, right? They wouldn't think of me as Shelley anymore. So I was concerned about that. And I tell you, I had a huge epiphany in December of 2014. I was invited to go to see a Titan event, and it was like amazing people on stage. Richard Branson, Wozniak, like Deepak Chopra. I mean, we're talking like amazing people. 4-day event. Wow. We're staying at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm walking in with the tail between my legs and my head down because I feel so unworthy. I feel that people can see my sexual abuse. I feel that people can see the fact that I'm broken. How could this actually even be that I'm at this amazing event because I am not worthy to be here? And just in 2014, that's exactly where I was. That event actually broke me wide open. The more and more I shared, the less I was judged. Now, nobody ever judged me. I judged myself. So the awareness of realizing that, oh my gosh, I am making my own suffering. And I think that if people really look at their suffering, as they point and blame fingers that other people are causing them this suffering, I think that we can all admit as we upgrade our consciousness, as we become more aware of ourselves within this growth world that we're living in now, of personal growth and making sure that we're a little bit better tomorrow than we are today. That awareness brought me up and out of the fact that I was broken or that I wasn't worthy or all these things that I told myself created my suffering. Nobody ever told me that.
No.
Nobody ever told me that. But like you, my family knew that I was abused, right? And there was some of my family because with the abuse, I did get pregnant and I was rushed off immediately to New York for an abortion. Nobody knew. I was just now the family slut. So for the years, I was the family whore. Nobody really knew. It wasn't until the OPP. Like I say, I was going to take all that to my death. So yes, I was definitely treated a little bit different in my family, which probably caused me all of those triggers, right? That I wasn't able to grow until I really was vulnerable and threw that out there to people that this is what happened to me, and I'm going to own it. I'm going to embrace it because I know now that's why I am who I am today.
Yeah.
It's given me strength.
It's like every time, like I remember many times I would just sit there and think, like, I wish my life was like this. I wish everything in my life would change, except I would have the same kids, I would have the same partner.
Yeah.
But everything else I want this way, right? But then, and there was a moment that I'm like, no, it's fine. There's a reason why it happened to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I was strong enough. And that was something that I tried to tell myself every time, is like, I was strong enough to go through it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, now that, you know, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
I can help somebody else, because this is the reason why I made it.
That's it.
Right. And
That's
then
it.
a lot of people like, oh, people go through less than that and they can't. Was like, it's okay.
Oh.
I've been through worse, but that doesn't mean anything. Everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
But it's like how you go from it, right? How you take that.
That's it.
How you take that experience that happened to you. Or you just gonna, because I have like every excuse right now to be a bad mother. I have every excuse to abuse my kids.
Yep.
Physically abuse, mentally, verbally abuse my kids. I have every excuse to be doing drugs and be an alcoholic and doing bad, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I have every excuse right now to be doing that, because I had a bad childhood, or with everything that happened to me. But at the same time, I'm like, there's no excuse.
Are you going to allow your past to define your now, your
Exactly.
future? Are you going to allow that to happen? So you stood up just like myself, and we just went, no, you know what? That is not, what happened to me is not going to define who I am today. I am not going to stay in this suffering that I am creating. So it is awareness. It is it's true awareness. It's truly bringing that to the forefront, being able to be super vulnerable about that, and not having it being worn across your head that everybody can see. Because, you know, like you just said to me, you didn't know that happened to me.
Yeah.
You thought that I was this confident, you know, woman that walked around town kind of thing. Well, you know, I'm glad that I was able to put those airs on.
Yeah.
While I do have confidence, I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. Because I've overcome a lot, right? So why not have a little bit of confidence? But, you know, there are many days that I don't feel confident.
Yeah.
Right? We have to understand that we are all just on this planet being human.
Yeah.
And I think we need to understand a little bit more about our humanness.
Yeah.
And I think we have to stop running. Everybody's running. You know, these phones were supposed to make it so much easier. This computer was supposed to make our life so much easier. It hasn't.
No.
It's actually caused us to not disconnect,
Yeah.
to not be able to rest, to not be able to quiet our minds. See, in 2014, what I learned, that is, if I could quiet my mind, if I could sit in meditation. So from 2014 to 2020, I said, I can't do this. I don't know meditation. I don't know. My brain doesn't shut off. I don't know. You know, I just can't do it. I kept trying. But then I realized, after much growth and looking for those answers, that humans' brains never shut down. Our minds never quiet. That's not what meditation is about.
No.
Finding clarity and quiet is truly about just sitting in a space. You can look at the birds, but turn off your devices.
Yeah.
Turn off the constant hum that's always around us, and just be with yourself. Now, at first, when I was with myself, I didn't really like myself. So when I considered myself a victim, when I created my little pity parties for myself, when I made the excuse of, yes, I can be an alcoholic because this happened to me, you know, whatever it was, I wasn't. But, you know, like all those excuses, it didn't bring out the best version of myself, right? It kept me in a place of mediocrity, actually. In grade 2, what came back is I was in one of my Baron Baptiste guru type meetings, and we were in inquiry and coaching sessions and 90-degree heat and working our bodies really hard. What came to me is my grade 2 teacher, Sœur Légère. She loved me. But what she told my mom when I was in the classroom, grade 2, was that she'll be an average student, probably won't go to college. And I remember her saying that to my mom, right? Now my mom, like as we went home, like my mom never said, your report card is good, honey. She never said, oh, you know, you have to do better. There was none of that really. Yeah. But I heard the words, you will be average the rest of your life. That's all I strove for. It came clear in one of these meetings that I was in, building my awareness, removing my victimhood. It came very clear that this woman, who I respected, my grade 2 teacher, said that I would be average. So I strove for mediocrity. I was really good. So as Yves was asking me to be CEO, Yves Doucet owns Dovico Software, as he was asking me to be CEO, I would be like, no, I'm absolutely not doing that. Because in my mind, I was not smart enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when I became really conscious, when I journaled and I focused and I really became aware, I got up. I remember walking across that gym floor and said, yeah, I'm going to be CEO. I'm going to do it. When I go home, we're going to do it. We were in Sedona. Yeah. And he was like, okay. And what changed my mind is the absurdity that my belief was because of a grade 2 teacher telling my mom something. I mean, how old was I? 8?
Yeah.
So that story that I told myself was my story. Yeah. Was part of who I was until I became conscious, until I became aware of the story. The story's always been with me, but I didn't realize how it defined me.
Thank you, Shelley Butler, for sharing your story with me, and it was amazing. And to be honest, like, I know there's so much more you guys can learn from her. So just like find her on Facebook, social media,
Absolutely.
Reach out to her. Like, there's so much you can learn from her. And I can't wait for you guys to listen to more of our amazing leaders from Atlantic Canada. Thank you for listening.